don't think I'm going out on a limb here to say that a cell phone might be the most important thing that people need in the event of an emergency. And one of the reasons why that is because you can get emergency alerts that come out through the local authorities. And that's really something that, 10 years ago we wouldn't even have ever considered. But now, whether you have a smartphone or a regular phone, you get these, what are they called, emergency alerts. I think wireless emergency alerts is the phrase from WEAs, but they're free. If you have a phone, it's a 90-character emergency message sent by authorities to your cell phone. It's a special tone and vibration. They're both repeated twice, so they're going to be different than any ringtone you might have for your spouse or your kids who may be calling. So, and the best part about that, like I said, a lot of the new smartphones come with all these bells and whistles apps, and we definitely recommend some of those for emergency preparedness. But these WEAs, doesn't matter, plain, simple cell phone or a fancy, smartphone, they come through on both.
And, June, one thing we want to point out, you don't need and Sam kind of alluded to it, you don't need a fancy iPhone, just a simple cell phone. You do need one. Yeah, and some people don't want a fancy cell phone with all kinds of apps and those kinds of things, and that's fine. Just a basic, simple, inexpensive cell phone that you buy at your local discount store will get you the WEAs and the information that you need. Very good. FEMA, June, has a top 5 list of things you can do to stay safe. It might be helping Linda and others. Right. Let's talk about those 5. Okay. So there are some really important things that everybody needs to do to be able to be prepared to stay safe in a disaster. First, you want to understand what the hazards are in your area. In Indiana, it's tornadoes and floods and winter storms during that time of year. So know what the hazards are so that you can be prepared for those specific hazards. Secondly, you want that emergency supply kit that Sam has been talking about. You absolutely need to have that food, the water, and then some of those other pieces to help keep you safe and comfortable during a disaster. Third, and some people may forget about this, you got to take care of your pets. They're part of your family, and a lot of times that's something that we don't think about when we're preparing. Make sure and plan ahead so that you can take care of those beloved pets. Fourth, you want to have some cash on hand. You might not have access to your bank for several days or even longer, so you want to make sure that you have some cash so that you can do what you need to do. And finally, consider having a backup source of power. I know in Indiana that's particularly important during winter storm season, where you can lose power for a significant period of time, especially if you're relying on electricity for any kind of medical equipment and those kinds of things. Think about, consider purchasing a backup generator or something so that you have a supply of power. Very good. On the farm, there's a lot of extra things to prepare for when you're looking at a farm or a ranch operation. And I actually looked at this, Mark, just specifically for tonight's show. And FEMA, if people go to www.fema.gov, they have an entire section on handling farm animals. So it's how much feed you should have on hand, how much water you need to have on hand, based on the amount of either cattle, pigs, whatever you may have. Some really great recommendations on working with your veterinarian. One of the biggest injuries that you see after a natural disaster is traumatic injuries with animals. So you need to have sort of a ready response system in place so that your vet knows that, I'm going to call you if this is the situation. Yeah. So the information is out there. You just got to seek it out. Right. Sam, you're going to have to leave us, but real quick, for those people that are taking care of older members, caregiving, just a couple of seconds here on things might consider there as well. Well, if you have a loved one who has a family caregiver or someone who's giving care remotely, they need to be a part of your communications plan. So even if they aren't a family member, so make sure that they know contact numbers for doctor's offices, family members, where the safe locations are to take people in times of emergency, where are the important papers that need to be located if something happens to. So always remember, the caregiver is part of the family when you're making your communication and disaster preparedness plans. Very good.